I'm just going to come right out and say it. And I say this with so much love and so much appreciation for life. But nobody is coming to save you. Nobody is going to come along and do the inner work and the outer action that is going to transform your life to allow you to experience what it is that you really desire and to experience. And it is so easy to get caught up in thinking that someday hope will just carry us through. And it can be a nice idea. But at the end of the day, the challenges that we receive throughout our life, deep down, we chose those challenges. When we set a desire in motion, we come from a level of consciousness usually where we are feeling like we lack something. And when we feel like we lack something, we want to change our situation. We want more money, we want a relationship, we want a better community, we want all of these different things in life. And by right, those desires are your divine right. They're not wrong. But when we set that desire in motion, when we are doing it from a place of I need this, then we are looking to step into a version of us that is going to align with the reality we say that we want. And that's all done intellectually from the mind. But what is really happening here, that I've come to understand time and time and time again, is that what we are really doing is we are unlocking the seed of God within us. The ability to create something out of nothing. Out of nothing. I'll never forget when I was starting my journey of business. And all I wanted to do was just travel. And really all I wanted to do was just get out of the house that I was in. I had lived out of home for many, many years throughout my college years, my teenage years, and did everything I could to support myself. And it was incredibly challenging financially. I never had any money. I think the most I'd ever made throughout those years in my early 20s and late teens was €600 a month. That was just about enough to cover a room in a house that I was staying in with 8 other people. And I did this for years, working part-time jobs or trying to find 2 jobs to get by and never being able to make any extra money to be able to do anything. Now, I was running a lot of the time from the responsibilities that I had. I was running from a lot of things, my childhood, many things. When I started my business and I moved back home with my parents to figure things out, all I wanted to do was travel. I just wanted to experience a different version of life, and I had no reason to hope. I had no reason to think that I could. Nobody around me had ever done anything like that, ever. And everybody told me that it was the wrong thing to do. But there was something in me that told me that it was possible, maybe. And when I was going through that period of living at home, and it was incredibly challenging to live at home. I won't go into the details here, but it was just there's a lot of stuff going on, and it was a very hard place to live in. I remember one night, after a lot of drama, going outside, and thankfully, very grateful to have grown up in the countryside. So I looked out up at this night sky, and because there was no lights or no city buildings around me, I could see the stars very clearly. And I'll never forget it. I was looking up at the stars, and I just felt like something was there with me. I had no idea what that even was. I was raised Catholic, but very soon into my early teens, we left that way of life. So spirituality wasn't a thing that was big in our household, which led to a lot of pain. Felt like everything was really heavy all the time. And when I looked up into the stars throughout that time, I was testing some different things with trying to make money online and just trying to make some progress in something. Something within me just started to unlock. As I looked up at those stars, I felt like something was there with me, telling me to keep going. Now, I may have been imagining it. I may have just felt it within. But I just remember that moment so vividly, so clearly, and I had tears in my eyes. I felt a presence with me, like I had reached a threshold in my life, and I'll never forget that moment. Because from there on forward, something sparked within me that I knew that there was a path that was going to be different for me. I just had to have the courage to walk into the uncertainty that came with that. And I share that with you because we all have these moments in different ways. It may not be the exact same for you. You'll have your own moments like this, but there is moments where we are just put in a position where we have a choice. We have a choice to keep going. We have a choice to look at the obstacles that are in front of us and see through the obstacle, to understand that it's not really an obstacle, it's just a fear. It's a perception, it's a perspective that causes the obstacle to feel real. Because as I went on my journey, I just started to become okay with the fear. I left home soon after that. Soon. It was about 6 months after that moment. I had been at home for about 8 months at that point. And I left to go to Europe. I had just signed a client and I had 2,000 euros in my bank account and no savings. So that was the amount of money that I had to go. It was just enough to cover everything for that month. I ended up working part-time with a startup to support myself. And they said they would cover my rent and not pay me at all. So they covered my rent. And then it was up to me to live and do everything else. And I had to work there 3-4 days a week. I made the promise to myself that I'm not ever going back to Ireland until I make 100K. And I had never made anywhere near 2K a month at that point in my life. So I continued to travel. I continued to move. I continued to just go with it. And for some reason, I had this ridiculously positive outlook on all of it. And it all came from listening to a quiet voice within, because throughout this time I was exploring meditation deeper and deeper and deeper. And it was the one thing, the one habit that I kept up every single day because I just felt like it was the right thing to do. Because as the voice got louder within, that quiet voice, not the mind, not my head, not my ego trying to tell me, even though that was very loud, that quiet voice within started to get louder and louder and louder and louder. And when I started to listen to it, things started to click a little bit more. I didn't have exponential results. It took me a long time to ever make anywhere near 10,000 euros a month, but eventually I was able to do that. And that was all running a marketing agency, and that was a whole other journey. But the point being, we are all faced with these different thresholds that we chose. I chose a different reality. I chose a different version of life. And in the midst of all the obstacles, they show up for us to be able to see through the illusion and to unlock the God seed within us that allows us to move through without being pulled down by fear. And it requires courage. I'm not saying that it's easy. It requires courage. It requires a certain level of just, I'm going to go and I'm going to jump, and I hope that something catches me on the way down. I hope that I can build a parachute on the way down. And there's nothing more exhilarating than that, but there's also nothing more terrifying than that. But on the other side of it, you start to see the truth. You start to see that the obstacles were always an illusion. And that no matter what happens, you kind of seem to just figure it out along the way. And as you continue to figure out along the way, you realize, at least for me, that it's not me that's figuring all of this out. There's something bigger that I'm a part of. There's something going on around me that makes me feel like I'm not alone. And I had those moments early in my journey throughout that time, especially in the hard moments where it came to the end of the month and I had no idea how I was going to pay rent. And I was working endlessly, trying to sign clients to my marketing agency at the time, hoping that I could pay rent. And every single time I could, every single time. Now looking back, it was incredibly stressful. But what I started to do was trust. I started to trust that it wasn't just up to me. I wasn't the one carrying everything on my shoulders. There was something else out here that was supporting me. And I share this with you again just to help you understand that when we are going through these obstacles and challenges, like most of the time, it feels like chaos. The mind starts to go crazy because what we start to do is we start to try and predict the future with our rational mind. The rational mind doesn't even have the capacity to do that. Yet we try to do it constantly. We see people who are obsessed with data, looking at the data from the history to be able to try and predict the future. And there may be some accuracy with that for sure because patterns exist. But there's no idea. We have no idea what the future holds. All we can do is come back to unlocking that God seed within and allowing ourselves to become a co-creator of our experience by doing what we can do as a human and then allowing the rest to happen without us needing to do anything. And I've had many moments throughout my life, especially after that initial jump I made in business and travel, that have proven this to me so deeply, where it's just a constant reminder that I'm not alone in this journey and neither are you. Because it's not me here. We're not talking about me. I'm just using myself as an example. Us, we are here and we are a co-creator of our reality. Because when we say, I create my reality, again, it holds this weight of it's all up to me. It's not all up to you. It's not all up to me either. It's a co-creation. And those moments where I couldn't pay rent, those moments where my bank account, and over the last number of years, this has happened many times, my bank account would hit zero and then jump up and hit zero again. And every single time, after enough of those moments, I realized that the lesson that I'm here to learn with this specific scenario that's happening right now is that every single time, no matter what happens in my life, I will always be taken care of. I will always be supported. But that is incredibly difficult to wrap the mind around, which is why it's kind of annoying within yourself. And those challenges that we experience, those obstacles that we perceive to be obstacles in our way, they're just helping us realize that more and more and more. So when we can pierce through the illusion of challenges and obstacles and things in our way and instead see them as growth opportunities to just unlock that God seed within, to realize that we are a co-creator of our reality. And it's this balancing act where there's things that I got to do, but there's also a being of just doing nothing and allowing things to unfold. Think of a moment in your life where you thought that things should be a certain way and you fixated on it and you hoped that it was going to be this way. And then you eventually kind of give up or you let go, you release, and you kind of just, maybe even you gave up because you thought it wasn't going to work. And then something clicked because when you stopped, you allowed something else to take over. Now, what that something else, I use terms like God, I use the universe, I use source. It's really whatever resonates with you. Maybe there's nothing that resonates with you, and that's okay too, because I'm not here to make you think a certain way. I'm here to just share what's going on with me. And you'll have your own journey with this, especially if you're here watching this video. So these challenges, these obstacles, these moments of realizing that we are not doing this by ourselves are moments of challenge. They're moments of pain a lot of the time, but that pain is dissolving the old limitations, the old identity that believed that things had to be a certain way. It's the dismantling of our ego, thinking that it's all up to us, thinking that it's just about the self. It's not about the self. And when we find ourselves chasing things outside of ourself, thinking that something else outside of us is going to give us the certainty, it's going to give us the feeling, it's going to give us the final drop of the shoulders moment and the exhale to just relax, that is something that starts with us. The things outside of us will never give us that. They will never give us what we want. It will always come from within. And this is why I'm so passionate about this work that we do in this channel, because there's nothing that you need only to unlock that seed within. That's all you need to do all the time. The more I walk the spiritual path, the more I realize that it's not about just trying to be calm and peaceful and perfect and meditating all day long. It's just not about that. It's one side of it. We live in a dualistic world. Polarity exists. Spirituality is beautiful chaos, embracing lessons, embracing challenges, learning from those challenges and learning the lessons so we don't have to repeat them. Healing our inner child within so that we can fully express ourselves fully, so that we can let go of the limitations that we've picked up from childhood or from people around us. When you just do all of that stuff, everything else falls into place. Everything else. It's very simple. It's really simple, and I love how simple it is, but it's not easy. It's simple but not easy, because it's the in the moment choices that shape everything. Something comes into your life and it's a trigger for you, or it's something that's going wrong. It's an obstacle that's like feeling like you're limited by this obstacle, or this thing is frustrating you or annoying you. It pulls us out of our center. We get stuck in our head, and that's the thing that takes us off course. In that moment, we are being reactive. When we are being reactive, we are coming from lack. We're forgetting our true nature. We're forgetting the God seed that we've just unlocked. So we got to bring ourselves back into the moment and realize, I am the creator of this. This is a beautiful challenge. This is a perceived obstacle that isn't a complete illusion that feels real, but it's not. It doesn't mean that we don't solve it. It doesn't mean that we don't, acknowledge that it's there. But we don't acknowledge that it's a barrier to stop us where we're going. It's simply just something that we can just move out of the way. Because if you think about being part of all creation, what is an obstacle? The obstacle came from creation itself. So therefore, if you're part of creation, then the obstacle is just part of you. It's just something you can move. It's been able to cut through the illusion of it being something that can hinder your pathway and your route that you're following. It's embracing the chaos in those moments and realizing your true nature. And because we live in a dualistic world where there's light and dark, there's up and down, there's left and right, there's all of these opposites, principle of polarity. When we look at these things, the degree that we experience love, light, happiness, joy, fulfillment is in direct correlation to how much darkness we can sit in. If you can sit in the darkness and realize that you are the light, you are the lamp that turns on in a dark room and illuminates the whole entire room. If we turn the lamp on, the darkness goes away. But to be able to turn that lamp on, that lamp had to be in the dark room first. This is why we do the healing work. This is why we do the inner child work. This is why we look at the subconscious beliefs that are causing us to not fully express ourselves or to not be able to create the success that we want. It's why we check in with our nervous system. It's why we take care of our body. It's sitting in the discomfort of darkness, because as you do that, you realize the illusion. But only by going into it do you realize that. And then the deeper you go into that and can sit there in a place of neutrality, has to have an equal opposite, which means that you experience more joy, more love, more abundance, more fulfillment, because you're willing to see the illusion, sit in it, do that work, and that will directly correlate to you experiencing the other side of that. But when you don't go into these aspects, you sit in this gray period, this gray zone, where things aren't really that bad, but they're not that good either, and they never improve or they never really get worse. They're just the same. And that's a miserable place to live, because you don't experience the fullness of life. We are not here to live in this gray zone of mediocre or okay. That's not what we're here to do. We're here to experience the full expression of what it means to be a human being. All of the joy, all of the love, all of the fulfillment, all of the pain, all of the sorrow, all of the tears, both, and integrate all of it into this beautiful experience that encompasses everything and what it means to be human. That's when we realize who we are and what we're capable of. So the spiritual path is not woo woo. That's the ego looking through the lens, thinking that it knows better, because the ego knows it's an illusion. So it will fight you to convince you that it's truth. When we unlock our truth, your truth, whatever that means for you, you can pierce through the illusion. You can see reality clearly. You can understand and you can know that no matter what comes to you in your life, you can do anything. You can create anything. You can become anyone. And becoming anyone means becoming the fullest version of what it means to be your authentic self. Because your authentic self is the most powerful version of you. So the identity shift that we talk about is not becoming somebody new and changing yourself. It's becoming you at your core, your true essence. And when you see things that you like in other people, that's just because it's in you. That's a part of you. So you can model those things for sure, but you're not becoming this person, you're becoming more you. It's the same things with people where you see things that you don't like. That's also in you. That's something we learn to love. Again, it's that polarity, being able to balance those two, loving all of it, all the good and all the bad. Life is an incredible journey, and it's confusing at times. It's hard. But on the other side of the darkness, the illusion, the fear, is the joy, the fulfillment, and the wholeness, the light. It's always there, both. And we actually get a choice at every moment which one we want to focus on. That's our free will. I'm going to leave it there for today, guys. Thank you for your time and attention as always. Sending you so much love. What a beautiful journey this is, and I'm grateful that you're here. See you in the next video.